3-0, and really I thought our guys fought hard all day long. It was good that we finally got to get a bunch of guys into the game, not just in the first half when things were a little bit closer, but in the second half, some third and fourth string guys getting in there. So that was good for our team, good for our locker room. I think Curtis McNeil is probably the really neat story of the day. You know, he was a guy that only touched the ball, I think, twice last week. He goes in there and runs great, and not only that, but goes on special teams, and I think made the tackle on the 10-yard line. So we love stories like that. You know, when guys aren't getting much playing time, but they still practice extremely hard and wait for their opportunity and pick up the flag and run with it. So that was good, and the quarterback played pretty good. You know, 5 touchdowns again, no interceptions, and so it was good. It was good to have some rhythm. The best thing was the second half. You know, to come out and really move the ball and stop them for the most part when our ones were in defense. It was really good. That was a challenge all week. Put together a good game.
Lane, do you want a timeout at the end of the game?
The play clock was running down. We had so many substitutions going on, trying to get all these different guys in and out of the games. And then the long run happened, and we were in a personnel. We tried to change to another personnel, and so then I just had to call timeout so we didn't delay the game.
Were you trying for the record for Matt?
No, I wasn't. There's a story behind that, and it's not your fault. I'm not putting on you.
I said give the ball to Moody.
I was trying to give the ball to Curtis, and Justin Mesa, we're told, signaled the wrong signaling on the wristband, and so somehow we ended up with that play. I was just trying to get the ball to Curtis.
Why did you?
I was trying to put it back in.
Why did you decide not to?
I'm sure this is something positive. So somehow you have something negative about this game to
I'll
talk
wait on
about.
Monday morning.
Your grades. What do you got?
You didn't rotate backs the first 3 quarters. So what was going into this?
Well, we went with Mark early. We were hoping to get up, like we ended up doing, so we could play the other guys like they did. And that was really just what we went with. And there weren't a lot of runs early. A lot of pass protection stuff, which he's our best guy, and all that stuff.
Going into the game, you talked up Massive in his completion percentage and his efficiency. How do you feel like the defense handled him?
Well, he's on fire. I think he started 11 for 11, it felt like. That's exactly what he did on film. He played in the first quarter like he had been playing in the fourth quarter. He was a really good quarterback. He did a great job of getting the ball in hand. I'm sure that, they felt maybe some mismatches with our defensive line. They held the ball a lot. He did a great job. I thought their opening script was perfect. And he executed it really well. We were trying blitzes to get there, and the ball was just coming out. He was on target. One time out there, down all the way to his fourth progression, made the play.
Lane, can you talk about the Rimble and Telfer and how far they've come?
Yeah, really, and I would add Marquise into that story too, because they're really all the same. We talk about the 3 freshmen, and I've talked about those guys that make mistakes when you start playing them, and that's just the reality. It's not making an excuse for what happened in the first 2 games. They're going to make mistakes, and so to see those 3 guys, come up with big plays today, and hopefully have overcome that, as opposed to not playing them early in the first 2 games, just playing older guys, and they'd be making those mistakes today. So I think it worked out pretty well.
How do you assess Marcus Martin's first game as a Trojan?
It's kind of tough whenever you're dealing with guards to know right away afterwards. I know he had a couple penalties there, so we'll have to go look at the film. But for the most part, the quarterback was playing. I think the last play was the only sack of the day, so pretty good.
You said you thought that ASU should have been the preseason favorite in the Pac-12 South. How do you feel about your own team going into that game next week?
Well, I feel good if we continue to practice hard and continue to improve. I think they're a great team, and that's what I said at the time. When you look at it, especially on defense, look at that roster, great players all over the place, shut down people, and then they're extremely explosive with the quarterback in the passing game. So they're a really good opponent. I haven't thought about the game. It was all about getting this game and getting this win.
If there's any negative offensively tonight, you kind of struggled to get the running game going for a good long while. What do you think is going on there? How do you get that better?
Yeah, it was surprising that we were able to run the ball so much better late than we were early. It was completely different. They did a good job. Hats off to them. That's what they do. They're going to play 4-bump. They're going to come downhill with those safeties, and you got to win outside. And so you saw that today. You saw that. Like Marquise on the guard, you've got to win outside and throw for the amount of yards you, because they're not going to let you run the ball all day. But as you take all that into account, really for a group that I got on pretty hard last week, how probably most proud of our offensive line. Last sack we didn't have fault. It's a Super Bowl call. To go no sacks, run the ball. We put up 501 yards and 175 on the ground, 40 pass attempts. With 1 sack. Really proud of those guys how they responded to criticism.
Why this week did you guys decide to go vertical with the passing game? Was this something that you saw on film from Syracuse, or you feeling comfortable with the offensive line?
I think you just have to do it. You have to do it versus this team. Syracuse is going to be against the run. They're going to be aggressive. They were 7th in the country in defense last year, and they're coached really well. And so you're going to have to take some shots. You're going to have to make the plays. Otherwise, you're going to get. I just didn't want to get into one of those Virginia games again. Or Minnesota games. Where we feel like we're just running it just to run it. We're not taking advantage of what they're giving. So that's why we're more aggressive today.
You said last week that a win like Utah would help bring your team together. Having a dominant win like that, how does it set you up for the rest of the season?
I think it sets up really well because we got that type of win 2 weeks ago, and now we kind of got one day that felt like the old days. And so it's not as exciting sometimes, right afterwards, but we're obviously excited. We've had the tough one, have to go through that before we let our defense to pull it out. And then today, I thought the offense, especially, even the last drive with the penalty and the screwed up pass play, still they ended the game on offense. That was our whole thing. We kept giving the ball back, to our putting our defense on the field in the first couple of games. And so that was, to try to finish it. And so it was really neat too, because a lot of those guys in there you don't even know. Left tackle was a walk-on. The center was the right guard that moved in there. And then both the true freshmen were the guards. Jeremy Galton was out at right tackle, so it was good to see.
Matt has passed for 5 touchdowns in a game before, did it twice last year. Is there anything different or special about tonight compared to those?
No, it's the same type of ones. One thing I would say maybe different is this is more spread around. Like this Cal game, was so dominated by Robert. This one was a little bit more spread around than other guys. And people are taking Robert away. Understand that Robert's still playing really well, even though his numbers aren't the same as they were in the opener. But if you're going to put a corner inside of him and put the safety over the top of him when he's out in the field all day long, it's going to be hard. There's not many plays to get a guy open. And so what happens is that's where you see Randall Telfer run wide open down the middle of the field because Robert's out there and there goes a safety running over the top of Robert and we Randall over.
One more for Lane.
Is that decision to be less conservative or to go vertical, is that something that carries forward the rest of the season, or is it game by game?
It's all depends on the game and what they wait. Utah wasn't going to want us to do that at all. For the most part, go downfield very much than what they did in the first half. And so we just, because it's kind of the Robert factor, we see teams come in and we've got to film out early. Are they going to play what they normally play, or are they going to play something different because of Robert?
Thank you.